This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out of It. Welcome back, everyone. Your favorite micro podcasters are back. They mostly come out at night. Team Cone.
And it's that time. Every 5 episodes.
Yes.
The time comes.
Recommendations, baby.
When you recommend us a thing, and we watch the thing for you.
Yes, we do it all for you. Okay?
Yes.
We struggle through, and then, we watch really good movies. We watch a lot of bad ones, too. And then every 5 episodes, you send us one, and it could either be really good or it could be really bad.
It's pure luck of the draw.
Yeah. Whoever recommended this one has graced us with an actual movie, though.
An actual movie, yeah.
We watched Eyes of a Stranger, but before we get to our review of Eyes of a Stranger,
yes,
please go like, comment, subscribe, listen to us on audio-only formats like Spotify and Apple Music. Please give us a thumbs up on YouTube, all that good stuff.
Follow, subscribe, like, share.
It's so easy to help the podcast and make sure that we can do this stuff continue doing this stuff for you.
Yes.
So please do that.
If you got recommendations,
we do them every 5 episodes.
throw them our way.
We're on Instagram at TMCOAN. That's Team Cone. They mostly come in at night. We're on Threads. We're on everything. So please drop us a line. Get those recommendations in. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yep. And we'll be fine, too, because we'll keep on making the podcast, whether anyone listens to it or not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's just like a passion project at this point. Because
we like watching movies.
Yeah,
so
exactly. We watch bad movies, so why not talk about them? Why not have people listen to us yap about them?
Yeah. Give us an excuse to watch them every Sunday night.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Now, let's get into Eyes of a Stranger.
I have seen this movie like a long time ago.
I have not, although I will, spoiler alert, it is really well made. This is
a good movie.
I would argue it's a good movie. It's a good slasher movie.
This is a good movie. I don't have anything really negative to say here. This is like, I liked it when I first saw it, whatever it was years ago, and I still think this is a pretty good movie.
I guess I could be like nitpicky, but like I'm not gonna be.
Yeah. Because
we've never been super nitpicky on this podcast.
We watch B movies, so inherently we're not.
We can't really be that nitpicky because like we could deconstruct every single movie we watch technically.
And we ain't about that life.
But I liked it. First impressions were good. I thought the premise was decent. I'm a big fan of Rear Window.
Yes.
And if you have watched this movie, you'll know it heavily takes some pretty heavy influences from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Rear Window stuff going on in this movie. Mostly towards the end half, like the third act. But, I mean, there's some in the second act, too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like a good slasher movie. I don't know. Like I would honestly say it's more of a thriller than anything else. But I mean, they did throw in the slasher element to it.
Yeah, you got your blood and gore.
Yeah. So they made it kind of gory, which kind of puts it into that horror movie echelon.
You got the right amount of sleaze. Your sleazebag killer.
Yeah.
It's got all the ingredients.
So I think we'll go chronological here.
Yeah.
Like, why not? So we start in on a woman getting home from work.
Well, the first thing is actually
it's a photographer, a nature photographer. You're right. Sorry, my bad. I was going straight to the kill.
I see what you're doing.
So
I see where you're going.
So it's a nature photographer, and he's taking pictures of like nature, and then he finds a dead body, like a topless woman laying in the water. And then we go to a news report where they're saying like this guy found this body.
Killing.
It's the third killing. She was like sexually assaulted, like
strangled.
And we see that this the female newscaster is very concerned about it because she cuts off her.
She goes off script.
She goes off script, and she's like, "Please, like, lock your doors. Like, make sure you're safe."
If you're a woman, especially, like, make sure that you are extra vigilant. And
she's very, very adamant about protecting women in this. And so,
and everyone's kind of like, where's she going off script? What's going on?
And they have this interesting gag where she'll like say this like concerning stuff, and they like talk about
now on to the weather,
and then like it's a weatherman getting blasted with like fake snow.
The first one, he's like, it's snowing, but not here, 2,000 miles away, and
then we don't have to mention it later, but there's another part where they're doing the same thing where they're reporting on like another violent murder, and then he's getting like sprayed with water and saying it's gonna rain and stuff like that. So it like just jumps to him like they don't care. Like, I don't know if that was like supposed to be a message there, but
how the news works.
Yeah, how the news just like gives reports on these violent murders and then jumps to like comedy or something like that.
But then it's a bar, and they have like the news report playing there.
Yeah,
and this woman getting off work, and her boss or whatever says like, just be careful or whatever. And she starts walking home, and someone's following her.
Yeah. So she goes in, she locks her doors, and she gets in the shower.
You see a guy getting into a phone booth.
Yep. And she starts getting calls.
Call after call, and
he's antagonizing her. It kind of reminds me if you've ever seen like the 70s Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, yeah.
It's kind of like those antagonizing calls where he's just saying what he's going to do to them, how he's going to kill them, how, And
he puts on a voice.
Yeah.
It's not as insane as Black Christmas, but he kind of
puts on a voice for this one, but he doesn't really put on a voice for the next few ones. This is the only one where he kind of puts on a weepier voice.
Yeah, it's not his natural voice, but he keeps calling and calling. And she calls the cops.
And the cops are
dismissive.
They're dismissive, and they just say, well,
because of that news report.
Yeah, like everyone's been calling in. We'll give you a call tomorrow, and like we'll get an official report. And just hang tight until then. And she's like, well, like, okay.
And she goes to the bathroom, and while she's in there,
you see him appear in the door frame.
A silhouette appear that someone's in the house, and then she looks over, and the bathroom window's open.
So she closes it and goes out into her living room, and you hear a knock at the door. She goes to the door, opens the door. It's her boyfriend wearing like one of those plastic masks, and that distorts your face. Mm-hmm. And he scares her, and she like hits him, and they like laugh it off. And she's like, "Well, I'm really scared because I gotta."
Yeah, can I stay with you tonight?
I got a bunch of like weird calls. Can I stay with you? And he's like, "Well, of course. Like, let's go to my house." And she's like, "Okay, let me go get ready." And then she goes to get ready, and he like sits down on the couch and watches the director of this movie's other movie on TV.
And he watches that, and in the meantime, the killer shows up behind him with a gigantic, like meat cleaver,
and chops his head off.
Yeah, and chops his head off. She comes back
because you see it in the reflection of the TV,
the fish tank.
Yeah. Oh, the fish tank. Yeah.
And she comes back and she sees him on the floor, thinks he's joking again, then walks over, sees the head chopped off. There's like blood spurting, and then you see his head in the fish tank. The killer comes out, and he basically like rips her clothes off takes her on the bed, and
takes his belt off and wraps it around her neck
and starts strangling her.
And of course, I mean, you kind of know what's going on. And at that point, it cuts to the reporter getting home from work, and she pulls into a spot, and she sees the guy getting out of his car with a giant stain on his shoulder.
And he
puts on a brand new belt.
Yes.
And then puts on a 3-piece suit.
And he throws the shirt away, and she just kind of looks at it like, okay, weird.
Yeah.
But she makes like a mental note of the car and the parking spot. And she goes home, and she has she has like this boyfriend who's an attorney, for the city.
He's a defense attorney, yeah.
And then she has a sister who is blind and deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her living situation. And her boyfriend, he wants her to move in, but she's like, well, like, I have to take care of my sister, and I just know that, like, if I move in with you, you'll resent her because of, like, the fact that she's...
Yeah, that she needs so much care, basically, that they wouldn't be able to live, like, a normal life.
And then they find out about this new murder, about the two people, and all they know about is that she was strangled by, like, a belt.
Yes.
And so she keeps thinking about the guy.
Because she even tells, like, later, the boyfriend, well, like, he was putting on a new belt, and, like, he didn't even have a belt. Who doesn't have a belt for, like, a 3-piece suit?
Yeah, because he was wearing, like, a, dress shirt, suit, whatever. But the thing we have to make a note of is the killer in this, because they reveal who he is very early on. Yeah. You know who he is. And he looks like Peter Griffin.
He really, really does. He reminds me so much of Peter Griffin, it almost took me out of the movie a couple times.
Same, like, hair. He's got the glasses, the shirt. The only difference is the color of the pants, but they are the same style of pants.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of jarring.
But that's who it is.
It's like Peter Griffin slasher.
And there's a scene where she's driving and she sees, like, a school bus letting a bunch of kids off, and we get a flashback
of when they were kids. And so, because we have seen, like, we haven't seen the sister quite yet.
We've seen her, like, present day.
Yeah. And so she thinks about this flashback where she told the sister, they got dropped off at their house, and she told the sister to stay outside.
Yeah.
And the sister got kidnapped and presumably sexually assaulted by this guy. And
later on, you see, like, another extended flashback where it's like after they find her, the sister, and basically because of whatever happened,
well, because of the immense trauma,
she's gone deaf and blind, and because of this,
well, she's also mute, so she can't talk,
and because of this, she is the reporter. She essentially feels like she feels guilt, and she feels an extra amount of responsibility.
Yes.
For what's happening, which is why later on in the movie she's so adamant to, like, pursue this. And
petty, which I love.
Yes.
We'll get there, but, like, she is one of the pettiest protagonists I've ever seen, and it's fucking awesome.
And now, if they didn't include any of that, like the whole backstory about her sister, like, it still would have been a good movie. Just on a virtue of, like, oh, she just is pursuing this
She just
killer.
really cares about her sister and, like, justice for these women. Right, like...
it still would have been fine. But
I love that they added that extra bit of context, because without saying a single word, you know why she's so gung-ho about, like, catching this guy and making sure he's the one that's doing it, you know.
Especially because, in case it wasn't obvious earlier, this guy and her live in the same, like...
He lives, like, in a different tower.
Yeah.
Because it shows, there's a couple shots where it shows two different towers, but they're owned by the same complex.
Yeah.
And so they live across the way from each other in different towers. And so he lives, like, adjacent to her on the same level across the way.
Because there's a scene where she...
And this is where it gets, like, kind of rear window-ish.
She makes a note of his parking space and calls, like, the landlord or whoever, and is like, hey, I accidentally bumped into the car that is parked in space 24, and I want to, like, contact them. Do you know can you tell me who it is? And
so they give her the number.
Yeah, he's, like, right across the way.
Yep. And so she's like, okay, cool. So now, do we get the next murder? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, now it's a woman going into, like, a burlesque, like, dance.
No, it's the woman at the office.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's a woman at an office. She's, like, alone in the office, and she's just sitting there, and
she's, like, the last worker of the night.
The phone rings, and she's like, well, no one's here. I'm sorry.
Call back in the morning.
Call back in the morning, and it keeps calling. Keeps like harassing her, and, like, knows her name and everything. And so she calls
on one of the calls, there's a music box.
Yes.
You hear like a music box go off.
He's like, it's our song. Like, can't you hear our song?
But yeah, she starts leaving. Phone rings again, and she gets freaked out, calls her friend, and tells like the friend, like, yeah, like he keeps calling, and like it's really weird, but there's a music box. Like, it sounds like there's a music box on the line.
Mm-hmm. So she comes
into play.
She goes out to her car, and he's in her car, and like takes her and like drags her into the back of the car, and then you don't see like what happens to her. And so now it's another news report.
Well, no, you see he I don't remember what happens between.
Does he take her to the beach? This is the one he takes to the beach, or is it the other one? He takes her
to it's the beach.
Okay, right.
He takes her body, dumps it at the beach, and then as he's leaving, his car gets stuck in the sand.
And so this couple trying to get it on in their car at the beach.
And the guy like peeks up.
And he's like, this guy's driving me crazy. I'm going to go try and help him.
Because it's just like over and over the sounds of him trying to drive out there.
I can't finish. I'm sorry.
I can't focus with this crap.
I can't focus. I got to go help him.
So he goes over there, like knocks on the guy's, window.
And you see him take out a switchblade.
And he's like, hey, I can give you do you need a push? And he stabs him in the throat.
And the guy goes over to the car, and the woman looks over, and he's like on the window, and he's all bleeding out. And then she like crawls over to the driver's side, and you see Peter Griffin. We're just going to call him Peter Griffin. He grabs her hair and like pulls her back and like slits her throat.
And then leaves. And then they like obviously find the body. And the news reporter, she interviews the friend that she called.
Yeah.
And
she's like, well, I heard music. There was something really weird going on. Like she was really freaked out, and she mentions the music box, right?
Because there's a part where she goes and she has a plan. So she sticks a piece of gum into, it's like a vending machine.
Well, because we also saw her park and see his car covered in like dirt and sand and stuff. So she kind of has an inkling that he's the killer again, and is like, well, I got to find like undeniable proof, because her boyfriend doesn't believe her, because they had like an argument where he's like, well, just because
he doesn't have a belt.
Like these are all coincidences. Yeah. Like there's no like actual like undeniable proof that he is the killer.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that she's just like kind of acting like on impulse and not really thinking about things because of like the past with her sister.
But she sees the dirt on the car.
So yeah, she chews up some gum and like sticks a quarter and like gets it stuck into a juice machine, and goes to
it's like the apartment maintenance guy.
Yeah, the super. And she's like, hey, it's stuck again. And he's like, those damn kids. All right. Well, like, give me a sec. He opens like the key cabinet, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go fix this. I'll be right back. Don't worry. And she grabs Peter Griffin's key and goes up to his apartment.
And she goes through there. And while you see him like getting home and slowly taking the elevator, it's
like that classic tension thing where, like they're snooping around the house and the killer is literally coming
on
home.
His way back.
Yeah.
She finds his dirty shoes.
She also
right before that, when she went back to look at his car,
it was clean.
Yeah, it was washed completely clean.
Well, she also notices a cuckoo clock on the wall. And she like makes note of that.
Yeah.
And then goes through his closet and finds dirty shoes. Mm-hmm. And so she hears him come in. He like puts his groceries away and then hangs his like dry clean suit that had like probably blood all over it.
Yep.
Up in his closet. And he notices the window's open because she's not in the closet. She was in the closet, but when he gets there, she's not.
Yeah, it's like the door to his balcony is open.
And so he goes out there, and you see her just barely, like, put her hand down, and she's hanging off the ledge. And she makes a noise, and so he goes to look over the awning, and she slips into
the bottom
the next unit down, and he doesn't catch her.
Yeah.
I love the little flavor they put here because she goes through the fucking screen door of the unit below.
And it's like two old people.
And she's like, "Excuse me," and they're like, "What the fuck?"
They're just like pointing like
they don't say what
Wait.
the fuck, but they're like faces just like are like, what the hell is going on? It's great.
But she makes a note of the cuckoo clock as like, well, she's talking with some of the guys at the news station and is like, could a cuckoo clock make like a music box sound? And they're like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Like when it goes off because it makes noise, but I don't know.
And so I think in between
she takes so her and her boyfriend.
Don't we get the next murder in between this or?
No, because it's after he gets like pissed.
Oh, that's right. Because it's that same night that she's like showing. She shows the shoe. They're at like a movie,
I got this.
And she's like, you asked.
How did you get this?
She's like, you asked for proof. I'm giving you proof.
Yeah.
Like,
and they have another argument because he's like, you can't just break in and like steal stuff and whatever. And
he's like, this could come from anywhere. Yeah. You could have like got his shoes dirty anywhere. Like, you're just acting crazy
because of what happened. And so she's pissed and she leaves. She drives off and leaves him with the shoe.
He doesn't get laid, and he's like, well. He's like, come on, I didn't mean it. And she drives. He's just being a total dick, and
she drives away.
She drives off. He redeems himself, but
he has the shoe.
We'll get to that
because she wanted him to take the shoe to like his police friends and just see if it matches to where they found the body.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But
so
she goes home.
She
calls like the operator to get the number of this guy.
This is my favorite part of the entire movie because there's very few slasher films where we get the protagonist antagonizing
the killer,
the antagonist, because like there's very few scenes where in slasher movies where we get this kind of pettiness, and I appreciate it.
Because she calls him, and now she starts hassling him.
Well, she keeps calling him. She's like, I'm going to keep harassing you until you turn yourself into the police.
And like,
he's like, quit calling me. And she calls him back.
And she keeps calling him. And like, as she's calling him, she's getting like more and more satisfaction.
I love how she is casually calling this guy, antagonizing him like he's antagonized these women, and like smoking while doing it.
Where she has this like smug like expression as she's doing it. Because it's like, it's almost like she's getting like a rush out of like fucking with him.
Yeah, it's great.
But she calls him like the phone freak as she calls him.
Yes.
So he's pissed.
Yeah, he's fucking really upset. So like he's gonna go out to kill.
And so he goes and he sees a woman like walking somewhere, and he just kind of follows her around town in his car.
Because you can tell she's pissed him off so much that this isn't his usual routine.
Yeah.
Usually he'll like stalk someone and like
get their phone number
and their names and everything. So she's like escalating him to this point where he just needs to kill to like take the edge off, basically.
Because
she found a bunch of like porno magazines in his he had
a whole
apartment too,
top shelf of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he follows this woman
into like a dance, like a exotic dance studio,
and she's one of the dancers. And so you see him watching her dancing, and he follows her home, and then he basically kills her while she's taking a shower.
Yeah,
and then it's like,
because you don't see it. She's taking a shower, and you just see his face up against the glass, and she screams, and then you just hear glass crashing.
And then it's like the next day there's a news report, and now she's like, it's like she's the reporters again, like she's being really like dedicated. Like
she goes off script again. All the men are like, oh God, not again.
Yeah. And she calls them the phone freak.
Yes.
On air.
And she says her name.
And he's watching it, and he kind of like,
and it plays it again in his, like, because he replays it over in his mind. And he connects the voice and who it is to who was calling him.
And so there's a part where he like, you see him following her around. So he figures out where she lives.
And then he's looking at the balcony and notices that she has a sister.
And he has, the gears are turning in his fucked up head.
So he goes over to her.
So while she goes over to his apartment,
he goes to her apartment,
and of course,
the sister is there
because it's, a fucking dark film. The sister, because she's blind, has like a dog that she has with her, and he kills the dog because there's this great part because in the movie, whenever she wants to get the dog attention, she like claps her hands.
Yeah.
And then she starts clapping her hands, and like
you see the dead dog, but you know that she can't see him.
but she like no dog showing up.
Right.
She keeps walking around like nothing's happening.
And she trips over a chair that's like in her way.
But it wasn't there before.
Yeah. And so he starts noticing that she can't see, right? Because he moves a plate around.
She's making like dinner. Or
it is
whatever.
kind of a creepy scene because you know that she doesn't have any of her senses. So
he starts messing with her.
He starts messing with her because he like moves a plate and then he moves the knife and then moves it back to exactly its position.
And then eventually,
and he
like,
starts fucking with her.
She realizes like
there's someone
here.
Yeah. And so she grabs a knife and he like moves her hair a little bit and she tries to slash at him and he grabs the knife and they tussle into the bathroom.
He tries kissing her. Well, she as he's like assaulting her, she grabs it's like a pot of hot coffee
and pours it over his head and like goes to hide in the closet. And at this point we also get a scene where the main woman, the reporter, is going into his house and like she turns
she specifically goes to the cuckoo clock
and she turns it and it starts cuckooing and you think like, oh, maybe that's not the music thing, and then it starts making the music
box sound, and then she knows. And then after he finds the sister and is tussling with her, she looks out the window because her apartment's right across the way and she sees him through the window.
And so she did previously, there's a scene where she buys a gun and bullets and loads it in her dresser drawer.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's assaulting the sister, she grabs the gun and shoots him in the stomach.
Because as he's assaulting her, her vision and like she can speak again. It starts slowly coming back.
Yes.
Because as he's like assaulting her, she like lets out a yell, and then she looks at him, and it's like a blurry face. But she has the gun, and she starts shooting.
She misses a couple times, but then hits him in the stomach, and he lays down on the bed, and she's like covered in blood. And she goes into the bathroom,
and it's like she looks at her, and she sees herself for the first time in I don't even know.
And it's again, it's kind of a dark film, so she like rubs the blood on the mirror
and herself,
and then starts like fondling herself a little bit.
Well, because it's like she's now grown up.
Well, she's grown up and she can see.
And it's like this is the situation,
yeah,
in which she can see herself.
That is supremely fucked up.
In years,
and so
he attacks her again.
And they like they start like, he starts like trying to assault her again.
He starts choking her, and
this is all like kind of in slow motion
because the sister shows up. She sees the gun, and she picks it up, and in slow motion she points it at him, and he like stands up like,
and
shoot.
Well, she fucking blasts his brains all over the fucking like shower like
door
glass door,
and of course he flies through it
back and like lands in the tub and dies.
And she, comforts her sister, and then her sister like
says Jane. Jane's her name. Yeah,
she says her name, and then she like,
and then they embrace and movie end.
The movie ends on the image of him laying dead
with
and the
blood
hole like seeping out of his brain.
Yeah, a fucking bullet hole to the head. Good, that's what he fucking deserves.
Peter fucking
Griffin slasher.
Good movie.
I liked it. I thought it was really well made. Cinematography is great. I think it's shot in Florida. It's based in Florida. It's
like on location in Miami. Like I love the rear window kind of aspect.
I do kind of like the suspense of like being in like where that end scene where they're in the exact wrong spots because they're in each other's apartments, but they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Plus, it's not common to get this kind of movie where who the killer is.
Well, I don't like that. I don't like when they reveal the killer right away, but I think
Because we know, the audience knows, but the character doesn't know.
Well, and it's kind of more of a journey of her trying to prove that this guy is the murderer. And that's where because she keeps going over to his house and like doing all this stuff.
And she has a reason to.
That's where it's more of like a thriller than a slasher. Because a normal, like straightforward slasher, you don't know the identity until the very end.
Unless it's like something like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's like a supernatural.
Like a supernatural killer, right, exactly.
Invincible fucking.
But like when it's just a person like trying to enact revenge on like certain people, you don't get the reveal of who it is. Like the suspense is not knowing who the killer is until the very end. And then you get all the motivations and everything kind of spills out.
Yeah.
This guy is just a sadistic killer.
You know who he is?
There's no like... That's why it's like, I would say it's more of a thriller with horror elements, because you know who he is, and he's just like a sadistic, really like a psychopath. Like that's what he is. Like that's all he is. There's no motivation behind it. It's just he wants to kill and wants to be like sexual about it.
Yeah, and he looks like Peter Griffin.
And it is crazy that he looks like Peter Griffin. I know that was not on purpose because this was made in 1981, but like, holy shit.
But it's definitely on purpose that they made him look extremely...
Well, just like an average guy, right? Like, not even average, like some guy that like you couldn't see really...
Doing this
or like doesn't get a lot of attention from people, right? Like he's kind of a behind the scenes kind of character. Which is maybe why he has more motivation to kill women and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought it was really well done, well acted. The stuff with like the boyfriend doesn't really go anywhere, but like
because basically what happens is
because he does say he's coming over because he tested the shoe
and it's a perfect match.
Yeah.
So he's like,
okay, I believe you, but like they just talk on the phone and then he never shows up again. So they don't really go anywhere with that, but
because basically it's implying that. We know he's the one, but then she blows his brains out at the end anyway.
And I did read, apparently, and this is IMDb trivia, so take it with what you will. Some people can submit whatever they want, but it was going for more of a thriller vibe, but then they wanted to capitalize on like slasher films. So they decided to make it gorier than a typical thriller.
So I'm sure how you got the head decapitation and
it was kind of cool. Like they actually put that actor like underwater in that tank.
Oh yeah, it's a good effect.
Like that's not him. That's not like a fake head. That's the actual actor that like held his breath while they shot that scene.
It's a good effect.
It is really good, and
they have like the blood coming out and everything. Like it's a good effect.
It looks really good. I don't know. Like I just think it was really well made. I had never really heard about this movie until
it's really under the radar.
It's pretty obscure. There's not really big actors in it.
No,
except for like Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's in it, but
later on, yeah. But it's her first.
But it's like her first role, so
as the blind sister.
Yeah, and I don't know, like it's depraved, it's fucked up, but like I really like that it wasn't like holding back either.
Yeah, and
because it's supposed to show that like this guy needs his comeuppance, and he gets pretty fucked up, and
you get your satisfying ending.
Yeah,
because I mean,
he gets his brains blasted,
and there you go.
It's great. I thought it was awesome. I know. So that's like Eyes of a Stranger. It's just like kind of a straightforward thriller with horror of slasher elements. Nothing like crazy, insanely good, but definitely not a waste of time either.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I think it's a decent movie. I think it moves along pretty well. The pacing is good. There's not big like exposition dumps that are like super annoying or anything like that. You get what you need to know in like an hour and 30 minutes. It's great.
It's only an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah. There's no motivation, so you don't really have to like focus on like if he was wronged in the past. You don't really get to know a lot about the killer, but I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, like no one cares.
Like who cares?
It ain't that kind of movie.
He's just a sadistic killer. That's all you need to know.
It ain't that kind of movie.
Exactly. Shitty to pretty. What would you rate this?
I'll give it a 9.
9 is good, yeah. I think it, like, maybe to push it up to that 10, maybe, like, a few more kills.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, if you're going for a slasher kind of vibe, there's only, like, really, like, 3 kills in it.
Yeah, there's really 3 on-camera kills in this that really fit in that, like, slasher vein.
Because if you take away all that, it is a pretty decent thriller, but not a slasher.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably, if it had more of that, it would probably push it up to a 10. But as it stands, I would say even just, like, outside of, podcast eyes, this is a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's worth a watch, I think. I think it, if you're looking for kind of obscure 80s...
a well-constructed...
like, thriller, horror, slasher, I think you could do a lot worse. This is really good. Apparently, the reason it's so obscure is it was protested a lot.
All these movies
when it came out. Yeah. But, like, I feel like that's why a lot of people don't know about it, because...
Well, it's not part of, like, a big franchise.
There's no, like, big actors in it.
It's not like there's movies like, Silent Night, Deadly Night that were so controversial that because of that, they are still popular.
Yeah, and there's no, like, meme-worthy moments that, like, resurface after, like, so many years or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think it is worth a watch. I think it's a decent, movie to add to your,
if you've never seen it,
to your to-be-watched.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's worth it to watch it. It's not a waste of time. I think it's good. I think it's well acted, well shot, well directed, just all that stuff. And I don't know, like, it's worth your time. It's a good, like, hour. I know this, like, review is short, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Slasher movies, our reviews are always short for slasher movies.
Well, because, we love this shit.
It's true.
I don't know what to say. We love this garbage.
It's so good.
Except, I will always say, for me, like, a lot of these movies, I think they are genuinely good movies. They're genuinely good movies.
I think we're both pretty much advocates for slasher movies.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I think they deserve their place in movie history and movie... Like, I feel like they deserve a place where I wish there was more slashers even today. I wish there was more slasher movies made today, because we get a few every once in a while trickling in, but we don't get a lot of like straight up slasher movies anymore.
We also don't get a lot of original ones, because we get a lot of remakes and kind of stuff like that. There's not really like new IPs.
Exactly.
It's like a new character, new concept, whatever. And
these are like big. I'm talking like, of course you get like a lot of indie ones, sure, but like I'm talking about like big studio produced, like main actors, like big known actors, like slashers. You don't get a lot of that at all anymore. No. Not at all.
Oh no.
And I don't know. I wish
not in like 20 years at this point.
I wish they would just like. I think slasher movies deserve more flowers than they get. Because it's a very...
we'll give them all the flowers.
We will give them all the flowers they need.
Because, there's people like us, and I know we're not alone, who will always defend this stuff.
We will glaze fucking slasher movies until we're dead.
Even the meme ones, like, what was it? Night Screams? I think it was Night Screams?
Yeah.
Where the football player?
Yeah.
Heard he was a great football player. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like, that's a meme movie.
That is
but
a
it's
meme
still
movie.
very entertaining.
Yeah. I will not condone Death Nurse.
Death Nurse is not it's a bold. Bold to call that a slasher. Bold to call that a movie. Who's the final girl in that?
The fucking old woman.
She died.
I know.
The detective.
The detective that discovers the dead bodies.
And then Death
and
Nurse.
And the lime.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking about that, actually. I know this is totally off subject of the movie
it's
we
our
just
podcast.
watched.
We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
I wonder if they are trying to go for Lima Way.
Would they, though?
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
I think you're putting more thought into this than Nick Millard
anyone in history has given to Death Nurse 2.
Oh my god.
Most people haven't even seen Death Nurse 2. And good, do not fucking go watch that movie.
There's people who like
it fucking sucks. What?
I'm not joking.
Who on planet Earth would like Death Nurse?
People who are so deep in the trash that they have become trash. They're just human forms of raccoons, okay?
I mean,
that's where they're at in their life.
I mean, that's fair.
Where they're just so deep in consuming garbage that they somehow find ways to justify the existence of Death Nurse. Because I've seen them. I don't get it, but they exist.
Where can people watch Eyes of a Stranger? I know you can rent and buy it.
I'm pretty sure you will have to rent this one.
It is only $4. It's a $4 rental.
Because
so
I'm not aware of anywhere that's streaming this.
Yeah, I don't
think
so. Let me see if it's anywhere on. I don't think it's on YouTube.
Because from all I can see is you have to rent this through Amazon or whatever. You might be or maybe rent it through YouTube. But as
you can rent it on YouTube as well. Yeah.
So it is at least.
So it's available, but you have to pay money.
Because at least it's available. Because there are movies we've watched
where they're not anywhere,
where you can't really get a hold of them easily in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this did get a.
It has a Blu-ray.
Scream Factory release a couple years ago.
There's a Scream Factory release. I don't think it's on Scream Factory's, if you pay for their monthly, because, Shout Factory has their little thing. I don't think they have it on there.
Probably because the way that works is that, they license it for a physical release, right?
Right.
But then whoever owns the actual full version, because this was originally released by Warner Brothers, so I'm guessing they probably own the actual streaming rights or whatever.
Right, exactly.
But because they don't want to put it on Blu-ray, Scream Factory is like, we got you.
Yeah, exactly. But you can rent it on Amazon, so go rent it. I do suggest this one if you like slasher movies. It's an interesting take because it's a thriller with a slasher edge. And there's some cool kills, and it's just really well done. Yeah, I think it's worth a watch.
A little different from the usual stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. It's just a good, straightforward thriller slasher.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. You have anything else?
No, just give us those recommendations, baby.
Remember to go follow us on Instagram too. Follow us on Facebook, Threads, X. I don't want to have an X, but we have an X, so go follow us on that.
I mean, just be aware if you do, we probably will never actually.
I don't actually check X, so I'm sorry if anyone has ever posted on there. But
if you care about it, we would recommend you please reach out to us in more normal venues.
Instagram is our probably preferred and easiest. Instagram or YouTube is your probably best bets.
Yeah, because with those...
I do see Facebook notifications. I don't check it a lot, but Instagram I do check quite a bit.
And with YouTube, it's easy because guess what? As soon as you comment, I get a nice little notification.
We both do.
It's super easy.
It's great. So please go, and you know what? Why not share the podcast too? If you like us, maybe you have people who will like a movie review podcast as well that reviews bad movies. Maybe they like Red Letter Media and they want something else too. So go suggest this to another friend. They really like
slasher movies.
Exactly.
And they want a podcast that also loves to glaze slashers.
Exactly.
And
we love slashers.
If they
I fucking love slashers.
Or if they really hate Nick Millard films.
Like we do.
And they want a podcast that talks, for some ungodly reason, watched both Death Nurse films.
Or maybe you have someone who really who really appreciates Al Adamson.
Or Uwe Boll.
Or hates Al Adamson and hates Uwe Boll.
Al Adamson is an idiot.
Al Adamson sucks.
Is a clown.
Yeah, we will never glaze Al Adamson.
And
Fuck.
but you
Al
know,
Adamson.
the good thing about Al Adamson is, as much of a clown as he is still less of a clown than Nick Millard, and he is still less of a clown than Uwe Boll.
Even Nick Millard can make movies better than Uwe Boll.
Barely. Man, that is a reach.
I know.
Holy shit, dude.
I know.
Oh, Uwe Boll.
I didn't fall asleep at any Nick Millard films. I'm just saying.
Wow, that's shocking. But you were too angry.
I was too upset.
Uwe Boll, you're just like, I don't have a reason to care.
I don't fucking care about any of this shit.
CGI dragon on screen? Oh, okay, bye.
I don't fucking care. Bye. Yeah. Anyway, please share the podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate you guys. As always, they mostly come out at night. This has been Will.
This has been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Peter Griffin.
Peter Griffin ass looking.
Peter
fucking
Griffin
slasher.
looking ass
Fucking
motherfucker.
motherfucker.